Hey, how you doing? Right, so here's our Dreadnought now with its arms and legs and all that kind of business. Well, with its legs rigged up and these sliders in place. What we're going to do now is go to our Layers tool, and I'm going to hide the hips, the left leg, and the pelvis, the rig, and the right leg. I'm just going to keep the upper torso visible for the time being. As these IK chains are technically part of the rig, I'll move them over to here, that way they'll vanish. Okay, and we're going to be working on the upper torso predominantly at the moment. Okay, so first things first, I want this shape, yeah, because this is where our power fist is going to come out of. So I need most of this. So what I'm going to do is just mirror the bugger. So I'm going to press the mirror tool, click copy. I'm not particularly worried about the offset. Let's drag that across. Okay, and pop it there. Now, this is obviously how I'd create a second weapon if I needed it, but I need to reset the X form. So click reset X form, reset selected. You'll notice it's just turned itself inside out there. Right click, convert editable poly. We can turn it the right way around just by doing a Control A, on select by element, and clicking flip. There we go. Now we can get rid of parts. What we need really is just this bit. So actually Control A, sorry, not Control A, Control I. There we go, and that just leaves us this bit here, which is nearly the shape that we need. Very nearly. It's very, very close. Now another thing I need to do is kind of bring down the amount of verts we've got on this, because we don't want to chamfer it until after we're done really. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. Let's do a quick Control A, and we can actually just weld all these together. You'll notice that the angles will start snapping and being sharper again. There you go, there's a couple of places that we need to continue doing this. There you go, that's one way of doing it. Or we could just, use target welds. Whatever really you feel more comfortable with. There we go. Now we don't want to take our time, but we want to do a good job here, so no point being impatient with it. What I'm going to do is view it on the right. This will give me a chance to just straighten up some verts that need to be straightened. And what I want to do is use some of my more modern methodologies to basically pull this into a rough shape that I need, and then from that I can start the detailing process, yeah? Straighten these all up. Okay, now let's look at the shape we've got. Okay, so this is our basic unadorned plain arm. Now then, what I'm going to do first of all is remove parts that I don't need, and I don't need this, so I'm just going to grow it. Hit delete, get rid of this middle part here as well, delete that. And at the back here, I can delete this and this. I'm just selectively deleting the polygons I don't want. And under here, I think. So I'll delete that too. And I definitely don't want this piece. Okay, that's fine. And actually, if I want to, I'll just Control Z, bring that back. If I want to get a nice even line down here, a way of doing it is to select here and here, do a quick connect, and it'll come from the middle there. Then I can do a target weld. There to there, and then bring these in. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, now over here, I'm just looking at the rough shape that I've got of my original piece. And I'm going to bring this part here down, because I need to make a solid object first. I think I should probably isolate this part. the same as I did on the other side here. It's always quite good fun for me coming back to a model I haven't touched in a few years, literally, because there's always some changes need to be made. What you've got to be careful of when you're coming back and doing modifications as well is suddenly realizing, oh wait, now I've got to go and do all of it because I've added tons more detail. So be careful when you're doing this if you're using your existing older model. Click out there and delete that. Okay. Actually, to keep the size uniform, I think I'll just wipe out these parts completely. Yeah, that's much better. And then I can select these parts as one overall piece. And I'm going to bring it down just a little. Got a couple of references that I'm looking at here. I think I'll bring that down just a little bit more. Like I say, this is very much the scaffold piece. Remember, we've talked about scaffold meshes in the past on other projects, and they're an important part of it. Okay. Look at the underside of my actual piece that I'm checking for reference. Okay, I'm just going to cap this. Do a couple of cuts. I'm also noticing that that's bent in a bit, so I'll have to straighten that. First, cut from here. Wait till the cursor changes shape, and then I'll know that I can click again. If you notice, that means there's no vert there. That means there's a vert there, yeah? Alright, let's straighten up this edge here, because I don't like having wonky edges. Turn off cut, just by right-clicking a lot. And go into my scale mode, and just scale on the x-axis alone. There we are, that'll straighten that. Okay. Got that shape more or less working for me. Now what I want to do is bring this edge here back. Okay, so if I select here, and then just do a loop, use my move tool, just bring this back to round about here, I would say. Okay, that gives me this piece here now that I can work on. Select polygon and delete this one. And now I can extrude this back and in a little bit. Not too much though, just a little. See to about there. I'm going to take out this piece. And then up here, I'm just looking at the overall shape again. I think I'll just bring this in again, just a bit more to about there, and delete it again. Okay, that's fine. Now up here, where this is, we have a flap. So I'm going to build my flap separately. I'm just going to use a shift and a drag, and I'm going to clone this to an element, and then I can extrude it to about that far. And if I click here, I'll just cap that end. And then if I rotate this out, not too far, about 30 degrees, maybe 25 will do. Bring that to about there. A little bit more in. Put it about there. Okay, not bad, however I want to change the thickness, because that is too thick. Yeah, that's better. So 25 degrees again. Actually, I'll make it 20. I'm an indecisive kind of guy. There we go, and it'll come out there. Raise it up a little bit. There. That's fine. Next, going to build. basically a hidden kind of bracket that the arm's going to come off. Now the power fist is actually a lot more complicated than we give it credit for. We tend to only see the end of it rather than all the gears and assembly chains that kind of hide behind it. So that's going to go in here. And for the moment I'm just going to use a cylinder to represent where that goes. Okay. And I'll drop that down a little bit. Like that. And then again we're going to have our power fist come out here. And this is a very rough kind of shaping that I'm using here just to give me an idea. And I can use the taper modifier on this. There we go. Very rare that I use the taper modifier. And that'll give me a rough idea of my power fist's kind of size and shape and dimensions. Just use a quick bevel for this. Okay, that's the rough shape there. Exit isolation mode. Now it's just a case of checking that our scaffold is more or less the right size, which it is, apart from not having the claws on. And at the back here of this, if I just have a look, we have a very kind of rough engine mounting system, which I'm going to build here, which is going to be a box. Comes off there. Then on the underside of this, it will come off into a weapon mount, not a weapon mount, an ammo belt about there, which will then lead into the underside of this over here, which will become our bolter. There. Okay, so we have these drawn out, which is a start. Now we have to work out exactly how this is logistically going to work, which is slightly more complicated a proposition. So we'll do that next.